Hi everyone, welcome to my very first stamping video. My name is Anna Smith and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And one of my favorite things about what I get to do is teaching people how to stamp. Now, I do classes at my house, I do private classes in people's homes as well, and that is one of my favorite things. Now, chances are I probably will not get to meet every one of you in person. So that is why I have decided to start doing videos as a way to share how to stamp with a lot more of you. Now, I'm going to be doing a series of short videos on how to stamp, and today we are going to just cover the very basics. So the first thing is, what do you need to stamp? And there are really only three things that you need to stamp. The first one is stamps, of course. The second one is ink. And the third one is something to stamp on, which in most cases is paper. Now, people stamp on all sorts of other things, but today we are going to start making a basic card using some paper. And I am using a card and envelope set that came together. Makes it really easy. I didn't have to cut the paper or anything. So that is where we're going to start. Now, let's talk about Stampin' Up's ink pads. This is one of our ink pads, and they're special in a lot of ways. They are, in my opinion, very far superior to ink pads that you can find other places. But for a beginner, you may wonder, well, how in the world do I open these? So there are three little dots on the top of the ink pad, and that is where you press it with your thumb. It will pop open. You lift it and flip it over, and then press it back into place until it snaps. And now it is latched in place, and you are good to start stamping. So we'll get our card ready, the card base, and we'll talk a little bit about how to ink your stamp. This is something that is probably one of the, probably one of the harder things to teach people at the beginning is you do not have to press the stamp into the ink pad. You basically just want to set it on the surface. And I say tap, 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 tap. I am not pressing at all. I am just moving it around and setting it down. Now, sometimes I like to check it to make sure it looks fully inked. It looks inked, so I am good to go. Now, when you want to stamp, you want to press straight down and lift straight back up. You don't want to wiggle at all. You will get smudges if you do that. So I am just going to press. Now, when you're pressing, you do not want to use a lot of force. You don't want to squish it. You don't want to rock it side to side. If you do that, you can get some smudges, some marks that you don't really want. So you press straight down, lift straight up, and we have a beautiful flower. And I'm going to repeat that a couple of times. And that is the background I want. Now I'm going to add thank you image on top with Early Espresso ink. Now, this stamp is a lot larger, and I found that it's easier to ink them while they're laying upside down on the table. So that is how I am going to ink this. Once again, I am not pressing. I am basically just laying the ink pad on the surface of the stamp. All right, now line it up where I want it. Set it down, press it a little bit, lift straight up, and there we have it. It's that easy. Now, to make it personalized, which is the idea of handmade cards, I am going to add a flower or two to the envelope as well. Okay? So it's that easy. Now, one more thing before I end this first video is, now that we got our inks dirty, I'm going to close my ink pads here. Sorry, now that we got our stamps dirty, how do we clean them up? There are a couple of ways. It's not too complicated. It can be as easy as running them under water, running them under a sink, and then drying them off. Now, I don't have a sink in my craft room, so that wouldn't be very convenient for me. So there are a couple of other ways. Some people use hand wipes or baby wipes to clean them off. Now, if you are using wipes, you want to make sure they are alcohol free. Alcohol can dry out the stamps and damage them over time. So make sure you are using alcohol free wipes if this is the way you go with cleaning your stamps. Now, I find that sometimes it's hard to get down into the grooves of the stamp to get all of the ink out. And my preference for cleaning my stamps is this. It is called the Stamp and Scrub. And I'll open it up and show it to you. It is probably a little bit hard to see in the video, but one side has water droplets up in the corner, and the other side has a little sun. Now, if you can't see that in the video, you could absolutely see it if you have one of these in person. The water droplet side is the side that I spray with Stamp & Mist, which is our stamp cleaner that we sell. So give it a few mists there, and all you do is put the stamp on the surface, rub it around a few times. If it's a really dirty stamp, you know, it may take a couple extra tries, and then after you have rubbed it on the wet side, you just rub it on the other side to dry it off, and it is all clean and dry. So I'll clean the thank you stamp as well. Now, if you are wondering why this stamp has a red tinge to it, it's because our photopolymer stamps can stain over time depending on the colors of ink you use with them. So it is not dirty at this point. You can see if I stamp it on here, it doesn't leave a mark. It is just stained. So that is definitely my favorite way to clean my stamps. It's really easy, it works really well, and I don't have to worry about wet wipes laying around where they can get into my cards and make marks on them and things. So, all right, well, that is it for this video. Now, there are going to be a couple more videos in my Start Stamping series, and I'm going to talk about the different types of stamps. I just mentioned our photopolymer stamps. I'm going to talk about the photopolymer stamps compared to the rubber stamps. There are some pros and cons of each type, so I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about some basic tools that you can use, some basic techniques, and I'm also going to do a real short one on adhesives, because learning which types of adhesives to use can really make your life a lot easier if you are getting started with this. So thank you for joining in, and I hope you will check back to see my other videos. Thanks, everyone.